What's going on, guys? Welcome back to WrestleRant, where every single week I, Graham GSM Matthews, break down all the pay-per-views that I watch on the WWE Network as well as on the Global Wrestling Network. And ahead of Extreme Rules this coming Sunday, today we're talking the 2017 installment of Extreme Rules. Overall, not the greatest show, definitely one of the weaker Raw exclusive events from 2017. It had its moments. There were a few pretty good matches and some even great matches, but overall, the real takeaway from the show was that it was far from a true Extreme Rules pay-per-view. Now, it remains to be seen how this coming year's installment will be, but on paper, it's really not all that extreme. An Iron Man match, an Extreme Rules match, that's really about it, and a few other stipulations here and there. But largely, this year's Extreme Rules pay-per-view is the farthest thing from extreme. I've seen better B pay-per-views, B-level pay-per-views, SummerSlam, WrestleMania, what have you, any other pay-per-view on the WWE calendar that has more stipulations than this year's installment of Extreme Rules does. That was also the case with this show, too. I mean, it had a few stipulation matches. There were 6 matches on the card. You had a submission match, a fatal 5-way in the main event, which is always Extreme Rules anyway. No disqualifications anyway. You had the steel cage, the fatal 5-way, a kendo stick on a pole match, and a submission match. That's better than this year's, and this year's has more matches, so whatever. But I was kind of underwhelmed by the fact that this was the farthest thing from an Extreme Rules pay-per-view. Standard Rules might be more like it, but nonetheless, on the kickoff show, we had Kalisto taking on Apollo Crews and winning, in a pretty fun match, not really worth going out of your way to watch, but it is fine for what it is. In the actual opener of the event, for the Intercontinental Championship, Dean Ambrose defending against The Miz and a rekindling of their rivalry, a revival of their rivalry from SmackDown Live. The feud that never really seemed to end in 2017, despite how well they worked together. I think I, along with many, many other people, were sick of seeing them against each other. The stipulation here, I mean, again, not really extreme, but had Ambrose gotten himself disqualified or counted out, The Miz would have won the Intercontinental Championship. Now, this has happened with a few other matches in the past. It happened with Orton and Christian from Money in the Bank 2011, which the commentators acknowledged here, that was the only time in WWE history that any championship has ever changed hands by disqualification. There was that. They did it at WrestleMania 28 with CM Punk and Chris Jericho. The championship didn't change hands, mind you, but if Punk got DQ'd, he would have lost the belt. It kind of hindered that match a little bit. With this one, it didn't, I thought. I thought it added to the suspense of the near falls, quote-unquote, towards the end, where Dean Ambrose, accidentally knocked off the ref, which was kind of fucking stupid that the referee would have disqualified him for that. The referee didn't see shit, and The Miz pushed him into the ref. That was kind of dumb. But there was that one spot where Maurice slapped The Miz, and they were hoping that would get Miz disqualified or get Dean disqualified, which was, again, ridiculous. But at least they tried, and the crowd bought into it. It was a perfect opener. The match itself was very entertaining. Now, I talked about Great Balls of Fire last week, so my reviews of the 2017 pay-per-views are kind of out of order. I talked about the Raw pay-per-view from July last week and the Raw pay-per-view from June this week, but nevertheless, this match was way better than the Great Balls of Fire match, I thought. The title change helped. Dean Ambrose was a fine champion. The Miz was really the one who made that title what it is today over the last number of years, and he was the right fit for champion at that point in time about a year ago. So again, very good match here with the right result. After that, in a mixed tag team match between Rich Swann and Sasha Banks taking on Alicia Fox and Noam Dar. Pretty fun match. The Cruiserweights had 2 showings on this show, between the Cruiserweight Championship match and then this one. And it was rare that you saw the Cruiserweights intermingle, and still is rare that you see the Cruiserweights intermingle with members of the actual heavyweight, quote-unquote, roster. But it was cool to see them mix it up with Sasha and Alicia. Alicia meant nothing. She still means nothing. But, Sasha's a relatively big star. So to see her involved with Rich Swann and Noam Dar and Fox here kind of gave the division a bit of a boost. It didn't last long. Banks lasted on 205 Live like all of one appearance. She made all of one appearance on the show before moving on to bigger and better things. But, it was a nice little boost for 205 Live. They tried new things. They put Enzo in the division, which fucking failed miserably, obviously. But, I thought this worked out well. It was a nice little mini feud. Banks and Alicia were trading wins anyway. I would have much rather seen this over Sasha and Alicia Part 4. So I thought this was good. And it also helped. They were in Rich Swann's hometown, or home state, whatever, in Maryland. So the crowd was into him. He got a great reaction when he came out. Rich Swann is always fun to watch. He and Banks had great chemistry. And they had a nice little match. far from amazing, but for a 6-minute match, it was exactly what it needed to be. So I enjoyed this quite a bit, and it had the right result with the baby faces going over. Again, not an extreme match at all, unless you count men and women working together. If you constitute that as extreme, then you're not living in 2018. But other than that, it was a fun match. For the Raw Women's Championship, we had Alexa Bliss defending against Bayley in a kendo stick on a pole match. Now, this feud sucked. It started out with some promise when Bliss first came on over to Raw in the Superstar Shakeup, won the Raw Women's Championship at Payback in Bayley's hometown of San Jose, California. I mean, kind of fucked over Bayley, but it was a cool little moment with Bliss becoming the first ever Raw and SmackDown Women's Champion, not simultaneously, but becoming the first person to win both belts. That was a cool moment. The feud took a turn for the worse after that, because the whole premise of the program was that Bayley was too scared to use the kendo stick, because she's too much of a wuss. So you would think that it would build to Bayley finally, embracing her aggressiveness and using the kendo stick on Alexa here. No, but she didn't. She didn't. She went for it. She got scared. She fucking, wussed out of it. And then Alexa Bliss took advantage, beat her down with a kendo stick, and that was that. The match sucked. This really was kind of awful, let's be honest. Not as bad as the This Is Your Life bullshit with Bayley and Bliss from the Raw before this show, which really did Bayley in. Now, there's been a number of moments where Bayley has not been booked the best, but I cannot think of one more moment, like a singular moment more than that really hurt Bayley, because she got booed during her pre-match promo backstage. She got, not like heavily, but it was definitely there. It was definitely apparent. And she also got booed a little bit when she came out, which had never happened to Bayley before in NXT. Even when she got called up to the main roster, even when she wasn't lighting the world on fire with fucking Dana Brooke, she was not being booed by the audience, by any portion of the audience. At this point, she was, because of that terrible, terrible, terrible This Is Your Life segment on Raw. And the match was, again, didn't help her either. This was beyond stupid. They did like a post-pay-per-view follow-up with Bayley, where she was like, I think it was after the pay-per-view, where Corey Graves interviewed her, asking her, why didn't you, go to the extreme and to go to great lengths to regain the Raw Women's Championship? Why did you not use the kendo stick? And she's like, it's okay. She's all happy-go-lucky, still smiling, and you would think, is she going insane? Are they turning her heel? Nope. They just had no direction for her, and they booked her like a fucking loser. Bayley was the epitome, it still kind of is, the epitome of a loser with how they booked her and still book her to this day. Yeah, this was fucking terrible. This show might have gotten a better grade in my book had it not been for this one match. 5 minutes of complete trash. For the Raw Tag Team titles, a steel cage match between the then champions, the Hardy Boys, Matt and Jeff, taking on Cesaro and Sheamus. This was a real good match with a fucking dumbass finish. I liked the match a lot. The two teams worked very well together. I talked about the Iron Man match last week here on the show at Great Balls of Fire. I thought that was one of the most underrated matches of the year in WWE. But the Payback match was really, really good. That match was good. This might have been their weakest encounter, but I thought they still made the most of the stipulation. The near falls again, I thought were well done. It ran into any other issues. It ran into the same issues that any other steel cage match would, where why don't they just go right out the door, especially in a tag team match when you can double team someone, then walk right out the door. It's dumb to even not think about why they wouldn't do that, but again, whatever. The actual match was entertaining. So what happened here was that Jeff left the cage, but when he saw Sheamus and Cesaro teaming up on Matt, he came back in, did a whisper in the wind off the top of the cage, which was really, really cool. But here's the problem. Then Matt escapes, or Matt gets out of the cage first, and then Jeff comes back in. So the rules of the match basically state that if you come back in the match, that you have to leave the cage all over again. Both members have to be outside of the cage in order for it to be legal. So it's not like just because Jeff went out, if he comes back in, that he's still out. No, he's technically back in the match, which, again, is ridiculous. And that was what happened here. So because Jeff came back in, he hurt himself on that spot in storyline. Then Sheamus and Cesaro were able to go over the top of the cage. Matt and Jeff could not escape the door in time. And therefore, Sheamus and Cesaro were the new Raw Tag Team Champions. Now again, stupid-ass finish. No one was really sure what the hell was going on here. It was an entertaining match, marred by a very bad finish. I forgot to mention the two Elias performed on the show. No one interrupted him. It didn't really lead anywhere. This was the early incarnation of the Elias character when he was still Elias Sampson on the main roster. It was an entertaining little segment. Didn't really serve much of a purpose. except getting him more exposure and getting people used to the Elias shtick, which would take off in the months that followed, especially by the end of the year. But no, I thought it was fine. It was a nice time filler after, I think, it might have been after the mixed tag team match, maybe after the women's title match, I don't remember. But it did happen earlier on in the evening. Before the main event for the Cruiserweight Championship, we had a submission match between the then champion Neville and Austin Aries. This was a really, really good match. Now, if I had to rank the matches, I would say it would be the WrestleMania one first. And maybe, again, I'm biased just because I was there for that one. But the WrestleMania 33 match first, then this, then the Payback match. The Payback match was also very, very good, but the dumb finish kind of ruined it for me. This one, kind of the same thing. The finish wasn't as bad, but Neville did tap out, so the submission has to happen in the ring. I don't know if they said that before the bout or not, during the match introduction, the announcements, whatever. They might have. But yeah, Neville tapped out on the outside of the ring to Austin Aries' last chancery. But because it wasn't inside the ring, Aries didn't win the title. And then Aries went high risk, or he went to do a crossbody or whatever outside the ring. He missed. Neville threw him back in, hit the red arrow, locked in the, whatever his finisher was or is, the submission finisher. And that caused Aries to tap out or quit, whatever, almost immediately. And the match was really, really strong. I thought it was one of their, the second best match they had together of the matches they had on pay-per-view. They always had great chemistry. The feud, it was kind of apparent that people were really kind of waiting for Aries to win the belt. I think they should have done it at WrestleMania. Neville had a great run as champion, don't get me wrong. But, it's kind of sad because at this point, both guys are gone from the company. As I record this, Austin Aries is the Impact World Champion. He's been killing it in Impact, Ring of Honor, all across the independent scene right now. So he's doing great stuff. Neville is still technically under contract to WWE. He's not coming back, no matter what anyone says. If he hasn't come back by now, then he's never coming back. At least while he's still under contract to the company. Maybe down the road, but right now I don't see it happening. And it's sad because you see these guys battling for the belt in what should have been the most must-see feud in the Cruiserweight division. And they had some very, very good matches, but it didn't revitalize 205 Live like a lot of people thought it would. And now both guys are gone. Neville won. But Aries, again, it was sad seeing him come out. Like, even when he made his entrance, it looked like he knew that this would be his last match in the company, and it would be. Because he came out, I think, on the subsequent 205 Live, or maybe the very next week. I think it was the next week. And he was like, I'm taking some time off to heal some injuries. He did some dumbass segment with, Tony Nese for some reason, and then we never saw him again. And maybe, Jack Gallagher, and that was it. And then Aries disappeared from 205 Live. He got released almost exactly a year ago. And that was the end of Austin Aries in WWE. So this was his final match in the company. It was a good way to go out, but you have the guy lose 3 times. How else can we buy into this babyface without turning him heel or moving him to another division or a brand or something? But apparently what their mindset was that, he's not really a heavyweight. He's not that big of a star, which he is and he was. But whatever. And Aries opted to leave, and he kind of quit, or I think they fired him. I don't remember what the exact story was. They did release him. And then there was a story going around that he quit, but then they fired him anyway. I don't remember what the hell the story was or is. I know Aries has talked about it before, but I forget. Point being that, I think he was well aware that this was going to be the end after knowing that he was going to lose here. Because even during his entrance, he was not the Austin Aries that we know and love. After the win by Neville, there's this great shot, this great depressing shot, but a great shot nonetheless, of Neville in the ring celebrating his victory, and you see Austin Aries just depressed as all hell, sitting at ringside with this smirk on his face, like, I'm fucking on my way out of here, like, this is ridiculous by this point. Like, it was very telling. I saw that initially, and I'm like, something's up here. I don't know if he's moving to another division, or if he knows that he's done. I'm not sure what's going on, but it was a very telling look. And that would be the last that we saw of Austin Aries not really, actually. He was on 205 Live one more time after this, but it was telling. Like, he knew that he needed to go or that this was it. But it was a very iconic image, to say the least, after looking back on it. Not only then, but also in retrospect as well, now knowing where he is currently. And in the main event, by far the match of the night, a fatal 5-way Extreme Rules match. Now, it wasn't really Extreme Rules. I mean, it was, but every fucking multi-man match is no disqualification. That's a little dumb. But anyway, though, this was really, really well done. All 5 guys killed it. It was Bray Wyatt, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Finn Balor, and Samoa Joe. the winner would earn themselves a title shot against Brock Lesnar for the Universal Championship of these subsequent months' Great Balls of Fire pay-per-view. My money was on Balor or Roman. I was really thinking Balor would win here, and he almost did towards the end. The final stretch was great. The match went almost a half an hour because the show did end early. This match started they started doing introductions before the last hour was even started, before 10 o'clock Eastern. So we knew that they weren't going to go the full hour, but they got a ton of time. They made the most of it. It was never not exciting, which was great. It's an issue that you run into with these multi-man matches. You have a bunch of people, but will it be a clusterfuck or a really well done spot fest? But this was a really well done spot fest, I thought. Roman and Seth doing their thing. They always work well together. Bray Wyatt and Joe kind of working together at various points before turning on each other. Balor and Joe had their issues. Balor and Roman towards the end there, with Balor almost winning, hitting the coup de grace on Roman, getting the 1-2 before Joe pulled him off for Roman, locked in the Cohina clutch, and then forced Balor to pass out to pick up the victory, which was a very shocking result, like I said, because my money was on Roman and Balor, or Balor, I guess. But yeah, no, Joe winning was great, and I really enjoyed the result. The match itself I thought was great. Again, didn't really tell much of a story, per se. It's a multi-man match. It's what you would expect from a multi-man match, but it was excellent, and definitely deserves credit in being one of the best bouts all year. Maybe not top 5, but I'd say top 10. With the star power involved and the way they pulled it off, and it was never dull at any point, and the result as well, launching Samoa Joe really into another level of superstardom, at least for that summer. I thought this worked on all levels and was by far the best thing on the entire show, and was an excellent way of ending the evening. Overall, though, this was really not the greatest show. This is the greatest show, like The Greatest Showman. Bad pun there. This was far from the greatest show. The main event was awesome. The tag team title match was very good. The cruiserweight title match was really good. I feel like this was a good show with some good wrestling, but some bad finishes, and some bad, not booking, because everyone who won I was fine with. It was really just how they won that was kind of dumb. But no, I thought the opener was entertaining. The mixed tag team match was good. The Raw Women's title match was total trash, so please skip over that. Thankfully, it's only 5 minutes. The tag team title match was real good. Cruiserweight title match was real good. And the main event was awesome. So I guess this is a mild thumbs up. It's, before Extreme Rules this Sunday, this is not the show that I would rewatch before this year's show. There's a lot better Extreme Rules pay-per-views than this one. It felt more like Standard Rules, WWE Standard Rules, than Extreme Rules. But whatever. Overall, there were enough entertaining matches to make the show worthwhile. But I would rather watch back Extreme Rules 2011 or 2012 or one of those installments before this one, because those are up there. 2009 was great too. Those are my top 3 favorite Extreme Rules pay-per-views. 09, 2011, 2012. 2013 was real good. Was really, really good. 2014 was pretty good. 2015 was pretty good. 2016 was, I was there for that one. That was a great show, I thought. Rewatched that one. 2017 was this one. It was, it was a good show. It was a good show. Solid. A bit better than average, but not an enthusiastic thumbs up. I'll say that much. So be sure to check it out on the WWE Network before Extreme Rules this Sunday. That being said, guys, thank you for checking out my review of the show. Be sure to like the video, drop a comment, share the video, and subscribe to the channel for more near-daily content. I should have up a pay-per-view card rundown for Extreme Rules 2018 this coming weekend, probably on Sunday, so stay tuned for that. Until next time, guys, I think next Tuesday we are getting back on track with a review of an ECW pay-per-view. I might be lying again. I haven't looked at the lineup in a few weeks, but I do think it will be an ECW pay-per-view that I will be talking about on WrestleRant here next Tuesday. So this is pretty crazy. This has been the 500th episode of WrestleRant. I'm not really sure why I didn't mention that at the start of the show. I just remember now. But I have been doing the show now for almost 7 years as of August next month. As of August 2011, I've been doing this for 7 years. As of August 2018, I've been doing it since August 2011. 7 years, which is fucking crazy. The last 300 episodes have all been pay-per-view reviews here on the network. The early installments were me ranting and raving about random shit. But yeah, check out those early episodes. They are a doozy. The latter ones are a lot better in my opinion. But anyway, guys, thank you for 500 episodes of WrestleRant. I appreciate your support. The show would not be here today if it wasn't for you guys. So again, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your week. I'm Graham G. Matthews. Enjoy Extreme Rules on Sunday, and I'll catch your ass down the road.